So thank you very much for joining this webinar, and hopefully it will provide you with some great insight into what studying an MBA is like at UWA. And we have three outstanding alumni panelists who are very willing to share their knowledge and for you to have an understanding of where their MBA has taken them. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Fiona Allen, and I'm the university's Chief Advancement Officer. So I have the great joy in connecting our alumni to the university and connecting alumni to each other, while also raising funds for the university via philanthropic and community support. So thank you very much once again to all our panelists. And so I'm going to start by asking each one of them to introduce themselves, tell us where they currently live, their university degrees, and the year that you completed your MBA at UWA and what your current job is.
Good afternoon or good evening to everyone. All right, so my name is Pirapong, and I'm currently live in Perth. I've been living in Perth for the last probably 25 years. In terms of the degree in education, so I graduated in Thailand on the Chulalongkorn University for the engineering degree. Then I had my second degree in University of Melbourne on the engineering as well. Then after start work in Australia for about 5 to 7 years, I make a decision to enroll and pursue the MBA, and I graduate the MBA at UWA in 2013. So currently, I work for a company called the Chemiman. So it's a mining and chemical company, which is based in Perth and also headquartered in Thailand. So I'm the vice president of the office affiliate. So basically, the vice president of the international office, depending on the office location. Okay, that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Pirapong. Next, I'm going to ask Serna to share where she is, and I think it's somewhere much more different than us in Perth.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fiona. So good morning, afternoon, evening. My name is Serna Kapak. I am based currently in the very wintry city of Chicago, Illinois, in the USA. My undergraduate and my bachelor's degree was actually out of Curtin University, where I obtained a Bachelor of Science. And then in 2019, I decided to pursue my MBA at UWA, which meant I graduated in about 2023. Altogether, absolutely fantastic. And I currently work as a senior project manager for a company called Management Controls. So I work on implementing large-scale tech implementations through all sorts of various industries and sectors. Obviously, currently based out of the US. However, we do have a very global reach. Thanks, Fiona.
Oh, thank you. And then our final panelist, and by no means least, Sudhanshu.
Thank you, Fiona. Hi, everyone. I'm Sudhanshu Tripathi. I currently live in Pune, India. I completed my MBA from UWA in 2011. And before that, I studied engineering and later transitioned into marketing and strategy roles. Today, I serve as the Chief Marketing Officer and Head of ESG at Quick Hill Technologies, which is a leading cybersecurity company. Here, I lead the digital revenue, sustainability, and strategic initiatives. So that's me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think what a great breadth of experience. And it's really interesting that you've all graduated in different times as well. So looking forward to hearing a bit more. But first of all, I'm going to go pass straight back to you, Sudhanshu. Can you describe your MBA experience to the audience, and how did this shape your personal and professional journey?
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you again. My MBA at UWA was truly transformational, if I can sum it up. Coming from a non-business background, the program blended my understanding of how organizations think from finance perspective, strategy, leadership, and most importantly, how decisions tie together. So that was something that I was trying to kind of uncover, and that is what MBA did it to me. What shaped me the most was the exposure to diverse classmates, I would say, from different cultures and professions. We had colleagues from close to 64 different nationalities at that point in time. And what it kind of allowed me to do was to become more I would say, more aware of different cultures, which later on helped me kind of work with diverse teams globally in different roles that I did later on. And I would say the MBA didn't just give me skills; it changed my confidence. It helped me move from a technical execution focused role to business leadership, and eventually leading marketing, strategy, transformation, ownership of P&L related kind of things that I do today across a range of industries from technology to power to right now cybersecurity. So that is how I sum up my MBA experience, and I think it has played a pivotal role in shaping me as a professional in terms of what I do today and what I unlocked eventually over the period. Thank you.
Thank you. And it certainly sounds like it was a very transformational journey. What about you, Peripong? How's it experience shaped your professional and personal journeys, and what was your experience?
I think for me, okay, at that time when I studied the MBA, so I got work full time, and then I enrolled on the part time. And I think it's very good experience to me because I met a number of people and from everywhere and from different industries. So it's actually as a part of the study as well as working as well. So I think my company also found that I studied MBA, so they gave me a chance into the to more on the business role. So it actually broadened my mind quite a lot in terms of how the what you study and bring into the practice on from the business perspective. And of course, so that is the journey that happened to me. So yeah.
Fascinating, and really good to know how your company played a role as well. What about you, Sarna? Because you're our most recent graduate of the program.
Yeah, fantastic. So, for me, I already had 5 years of professional experience at the point that I entered the MBA. And with those 5 years, you obviously get a lot of exposure and experience, whether it's leadership, communication. But what my MBA gave me is really the strategy and the blueprint behind all that. So it gave me the language and the ability to speak as part of a toolkit and get into larger roles, have a seat at the table and really feel like I was making a difference. But it came from a perspective of understanding the strategy behind the decisions made. So when I really look at it, it gave me the ability to manage, complex programs, which I do in my day-to-day role now, and really advocate for myself in that space. So from a career perspective, it really has shaped the career that I now have.
That's great. It's really wonderful to hear. And maybe I'll just come to you, Sana, just then for the next question. So before you commenced your MBA at UWA, what was your goal, and did the school change during your time here?
Yeah, great question. So when I kicked off the goal of the MBA, it was really to gain that real world exposure. I had heard fantastic things about it from previous alumni, whether they had finished or were currently in the program themselves. And I also saw the way that they challenged me in just social settings and obviously in my workplace as well. And I wanted to sort of gain a grasp of that, and have that under my own belt. So to go in, I really wanted the experience and the exposure. And come the end of it, I definitely think that is exactly what, the MBA provided. It definitely has real world, scenarios, which is sort of, for me, fulfilled that goal. But yeah, managed to steer path down that track.
Fantastic. And Sudhanshu, what about you? What was your goal before? And then did that goal change throughout the program?
Well, so just before I attempt answering that question, I was already in Perth working, and I fell in love with the campus, the Crawley campus.
Oh,
And that was one of the key drivers for me kind of opting for doing MBA there. And fortunately, I kind of got admitted as well. Now, when I started the MBA, my goal was simple. I was already, just like Sarna talked about, having a couple of years of experience before she took up MBA. I also had similar 5 years sort of experience at that point in time. I was already taking up similar roles. I was doing business development, little bit of sales, but I wanted to do it formally. beyond technical role and understand the business side of organization better, so I could kind of grow faster, be more relevant, and contribute back to any organization that I'm working at. But as the program progressed, my goal evolved. I would not say change, but evolve. I realized that I enjoyed marketing, branding, strategic storytelling far more than I expected, because these were kind of uncovered in that process. My elective, the group projects, exposure to real world case studies, nudged me towards a career of business leadership. So yes, goal evolved from learning business basics to crafting long-term career in marketing and strategy, and that's what I'm living today. And that shift completely shaped the next decade of my professional journey. So that is how things evolved for me.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it goes back to that transformational change that you talked about prior as well. And Pirapong, you spoke very much about you were quite connected to an organisation. So what was your goal for start before commencing the MBA, and then how did that evolve? And particularly if you had some organisational buy-in behind you doing it.
Yeah, I think at that time, so the goal for me when I enrolled before, so to basically enroll to just to equip myself with all the various knowledge and skill that the MBA could support. Because when you look at the organization, you see all the various function and then how all the sort of how all the jigsaw and everything work. So that probably just a goal. That's why I make decision to enroll. But whether the goal is change toward the career and all this stuff, of course, it depend on the business situation, depend on the personal circumstance, depend on the industry, depend on the market. So we all know that as a part of MBA, we learn the adaptability and the change. But in terms of my overall of the goal or the overall value, how I see thing, because for me is it I would like to be have a big contribution or impact to the organization or to the community that I be a part of it. So that probably more or less the same. But how the MBA help on it. So of course it give me all the knowledge and then all the tooling to put everything, whether it's going to be the case study or the people that I met. So yeah.
Right. I really like that analogy of bringing it as a jigsaw puzzle and bringing it all together, because I think sometimes that is what an MBA offers. It's that different perspectives, and you've got to work it out. So you've all come from non-business backgrounds, which is really fascinating as well. And so what I'm really interested in learning is, and you have all touched upon this, but how did the MBA really pivot or accelerate your career? And perhaps how did that knowledge help you transition into roles that had more of those business and leadership responsibilities? And perhaps Pirapong, you can just start with this one as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I think how it helps. So probably I put in two aspects here. So the first one will be, of course, around the academic side, when of course all the unit that you enroll with is going to be marketing, accounting, finance, organization, behavior. So, and all those, they give you a reality in terms of academic case study, which is you go through everything as a part of your curriculum. But in addition is the other thing that quite value to the MBA is all the classmates and the people that you spend time with, all the knowledge sharing and everything through your real life experience or through a colleague of a colleague or the network of the network. So that actually value of the journey of the MBA. Yeah. And in terms of the technical side, so of course, it depends, some people prefer to stay in the technical and they want to be specialists there. And for me, it's the non-technical side, move to the non-technical side, which is to the business. So that's where the MBA will help me to be a part of those journey.
Thank you. Sudhanshu, what about you? How did it help accelerate or pivot your career? And I think you've touched upon this before, and it'd be really interesting to expand a bit further on that.
Sure. Thank you for that question. I think coming from a non-business background, initially I thought it would be a struggle. Okay. But the MBA actually became a bridge. helping me connect my technical understanding and business outcomes. So that's what kind of MBA played that particular role of bridging kind of the gap. Now, courses like finance, marketing, organizational behavior, strategy helped me accelerate quickly. They gave me the right vocab, frameworks, confidence to sit at the table with business leaders. So that's what it equipped me with. And this foundation played a big role in helping me transition into evolving brand building, even digital growth, ESG, corporate strategy. All of that I did post the degree. Uh, Although starting kind of from a very different background, uh, MBA allowed me to kind of take up all of that. Now, the MBA did not just give me a pivot, it helped me accelerate. So that is what kind of MBA did to me over the course of time.
Thank you. And Sarna, what about you?
Yeah, I echo what my other two panelists have said already. I think a lot of it is about the community that actually does the MBA with you. So it's like learning from one another, and then those are relationships that you maintain long after you graduate and walk across that stage at UWA. I think the other portion of it, which is what Pierpong alluded to, and then I think Sudhanshu said it perfectly. It is a bridge. So it basically expands that exposure. The units that you do in-house are very much preparing you for the real world. So that science degree that I had as an undergrad, very different to a complete business degree where you're learning, economics and finance and all these other great things. But I learned very quickly the professors are there to help give you real world exposure and real world experience. The case studies that you do are all things that are happening real time in the economy right now, right? It's just the realistic duplication of the entire program is fantastic. So by the time that you finish, and I would say it's even far before you finish, you take on all these learnings in the invisible backpack, as Bob Wood would call it in OB, and you really take these into the real world and your career with you. So it's not something you need to wait the 4 years if you're doing it part-time to graduate and then have the skills for. You pick up things on a weekly basis. And then this is something that happens at a much more accelerated rate, obviously because of the cohort and the classmates that are in there challenging you. But then the foundation and the structure of the MBA itself, I think gives you that real world experience so you walk out feeling confident and ready.
Yeah, certainly. I know one of the things that UWA prides itself on in its MBA is that real world experience, but also, having those sort of case study learnings, which allows for some amazing conversation with classmates and broader MBA networks as well. So I'm just going to ask then a bit about those networks and ask each one of you, have you stayed in contact with any of your classmates or fellow alumni? And in what ways have those relationships supported you or even allowed you to help others? So I think I'm going to go to Parapong for this one in the first instance.
Yep. I mean, okay. So on this one, I mean, so of course, you spend the time with your classmate through a number of how many unit, and each unit is 3 or 4 months, and obviously that some of them you form the relationship and choose to stay connect after that. And even nowadays, so look, I graduated in 2013, and now it's 2025. Some of them they are still connected with them. Some of them, of course, live in Perth. Some of them actually live overseas. And of course, when I have the travel to that location, we have a face-to-face connect. Some of them actually move back to overseas because they're overseas student, but they migrate back to Perth after many years. So we still were connected. And of course, we how it help each other. So we normally have a question or general catch up, and we ask or exchange idea on a number of things, and it from of course could be the personal level or the work related or the business situation, and that still will help me even nowadays for those relationship that are formed from UWA MBA classmate.
Fantastic. Sarna, what about you?
Great question. I love this. So I would say the MBA is when you start an MBA, you join a club, and that is a club that you never leave. From a very personal perspective, some of my best friendships have actually come out of the MBA, and it is groups of people that, when I am back in Australia, I very much still see. However, from a broader aspect as well, with the experience in the USA, there is times where alumni will actually reach out to you because they're seeking to understand what the job pathway and opportunities were for me if they are potentially looking to break into, US markets and things like that. So it really does feel full circle when I am able to converse in that because we all wear, I guess, the same badge from UWA, knowing we've gone through the MBA. So I think it's very, very vast. And this day and age, through LinkedIn and through various other, networking platforms, it does shine through. Like I said, it's a club that you join and you never really leave.
Thank you. And Sudhanshu, what about you?
Yes, I think nowadays, if you look at the worth of network, uh, it is the kind of people that you have in your network. So I think many people kind of talk about how network is your net worth, and that is what you truly experience. And as I talked about earlier, that there are six people from 64 different nationalities who converged in that campus. Now, some decided to stay put. Many of them have gone back to where they came from. Now, if you want to go in across the world, uh, you can tap into that networks, and they should be or they will be willing to support you. I've personally experienced this multiple times, so that is kind of for sure. Now, I have stayed connected with classmates through multiple alumni groups, professional collaborations, at times informal catch up whenever people are traveling across countries, and the network has been invaluable. Now, whether it is exchanging ideas, getting perspective on global markets, or simply kind of when you want to lean on a diverse group, this is the group that you kind of lean back on. Now, the support has gone both ways. So, and that's important for the listeners on the call because a network works for you if you are working for the network. Now, the support has to go both ways. So, I have kind of mentored juniors, collaborated with peers, the different industries, and often being a sounding board as well myself. If someone is kind of looking to explore or shift career to say marketing from technology, or whether to consider a particular kind of course or not, or otherwise for career opportunities. So the network truly kind of continues to give more if you kind of invest into it, and that is what we should be doing because the traditional ways of unlocking opportunities is passe. It's your network which will work for you as you leverage it to the fullest. That's my kind of 2 cents on how it has worked for me and how I stay invested.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I love what each one of you say, and not just because my job is there to promote our alumni and networking with each other, but I think Sir Hanshu just talking about that symbiotic relationship, and it's you get what you put in, and you get what you put in as you'll get back out. So I think that's really important. So on that sort of train of thought, if you had to give just one piece of advice to someone at any stage in their MBA journey, whether they're just commencing or you haven't even started, or have recently graduated, what's that one piece of advice that you would share? I'll start with you, Sudhanshu.
Oh, that's a very loaded question, I must say, Fiona. Okay.
Or you can say, what advice would you give? Maybe not one piece of advice, but what general advice would you give, if that's any help?
Sure. I would kind of request, depending on at what stage people are, whether they're already pursuing MBA or about to pursue, don't treat MBA as a degree. Don't treat that as an accelerator because that is what it does to you, depending on how you leverage. And when we look around the world, the pace of change is unprecedented, especially with Gen AI and all of that agentic AI coming in picture. We don't know how fast and how soon things would look very different. Now, one thing that has to continue to support us is our own curiosity. Now, curiosity beats knowledge any day. So continue to be curious, and especially when we are talking about everything programmatic, everything agentic, continue to be humans now, because that is at some point in time will be our biggest differentiators. So that is kind of what I would say, or kind of one piece of advice that I would pass on to my fellow kind of alumni or people who are pursuing the MBA.
Thank you, and that sounds like very good advice. Sarna, what about you? What would you suggest?
I love this question as well. So I would say don't do an MBA to tick a box, do it to open a door. The MBA itself, although fantastic, walking across that stage, getting that certificate, it really is the experience. Like the journey is the experience of the MBA, and then it continues long after graduation. So staying curious after you graduate, the MBA will give you the frameworks. It will allow you to really leverage those real world scenarios, situations, and a combination of things we've talked about today. So the network and the relationships that you build, the degree and the learning mindset is really what's going to accelerate your career.
Fantastic. And I like that about it opening a door as well, not just a tick box. I think that's a really good piece of advice. And Pirapong, what advice would you have for someone in thinking or doing or just graduating from their MBA?
Okay, I think for maybe break into a little bit for the person who thinking of the study for me, right? It's very every study is good. So for me, every study is good. But of course, if you're looking for the some knowledge that outside your core degree or of the whatever you graduate from, you're looking for the a little bit broader knowledge that outside your core degree and into the business. I think this definitely probably I would recommend on this one. Or the another situation is if you let's say been asked to or been promoted to the slightly different role from your previous role before. I think you need to start to look at yourself and they want to equip with the appropriate skill to tackle with your new job or your new growth platform. So this would be there. And for those who about to or halfway or about to the graduate, how to the what a piece of advice. Look, they of course network that they or they maximize on the network, but also they start to talk to the people in your office as well. So all the different department, various area on just to try to pretty much test on what you learn is that how it work in the office, how things, so people start to see that you curious, you growing, and you want to be a part of the various different business unit. So that probably my advice. Yeah.
You've all spoken very much about your personal journey and what you got out of the MBA. But I'm really interested in one thing that UWA focuses on is thinking about your own personal leadership style. And how did your MBA at UWA influence your leadership style? And how do you continue that into your work today? Pirapong, perhaps you can answer that one in the first instance.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, there is interesting question there on this one. I mean, obviously that in the MBA, how it reflect to the leadership, it help you a lot to, of course, to reflect to yourself as well. I mean, whether it's going to be the learning journal or reflection, but also together with you as we touch base quite a number of time, or the classmate or the case study. So you see the various different situation, how the leadership or the actual leadership or different people do the different thing, and then you also reflect that to yourself, which one would be the suitable for you or to your situation that you're facing. So that probably something that did occur to me.
Fantastic. And Sudhanshu, what about you?
I'll fall back on what I already talked about. As I said, it was a very diverse group. And one thing that you pick, because you start appreciating where they come from, you start appreciating different cultures. So you learn to collaborate. Now, that is one skill which kind of lives with you for lifelong. Another thing that you kind of learn and that you inculcate in anything that you do today, which is the question you asked about the leadership style. You're working with a spectrum, not only from a cultural diversity perspective, but you're also working with people at various stages of their career and various levels of experience. So, how do you work in that environment and get work done? So, at the end of the day, you have to submit your group project, you have a timeline to meet, you have a case study, and then you are kind of putting it all together. So, how do you influence? You have no authority because you are operating in a group with equal access and no one is supersedes anybody else. So, how do you get work done? So, and that's exactly the same thing that we experience in any metrics organization or any modern organization where the authority is a passe. You are kind of working with different people, different priorities, and yet you get work done, and that is what gets rewarded. So those are kind of initial things that you pick up from a university setup, and I think what UW provided was a very rich environment where you pick all the right skills, which you will use lifelong, and all of this influenced the way I evolved as a leader over a period.
Fantastic. And Sarna, what about you and your leadership?
Yeah, so I would look at this like a two-prong answer. The first being from a very personal perspective. I think a lot of the assignments, assessments throughout the UWA MBA really allow you to get to know yourself, to know your strengths, to know your weaknesses, which in effect, I guess, makes or helped make me a more personable and authentic leader. But I think something that I've touched on earlier is also around the strategy. So the real world experience that I'd had before was fantastic, but the MBA really gave me that blueprint and strategic framework to understand the why behind decision making. And then when it does come to, now in my role, when decisions and pivot points do turn, almost as second nature, I turn to the skills that I picked up subconsciously over the time at during my MBA that I will then pull on as the levers to really get, whatever decision made across the line and back myself whilst doing it.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic that you've all, and thank you, Sarna. I think it's fantastic that you've all reflected that it is a journey of reflection. And as well as equipping you from a business perspective, you learn a lot about yourself and then how you adapt that leadership style according to the situation. I think you've all said that very well. So when you look back, I suppose I've got two questions here. Which aspect of the MBA had the greatest impact on your career? And that might have been one of the units you studied, it might have been the networks you created. To you, what was the key thing that had, or what's been the thing that's had the greatest long-term impact on your career? And Sarna, we're going to start with you, and bearing in mind that you studied part-time, but you only graduated most recently. But I'm sure you can still have an answer. Yeah.
Yes, the greatest long-term impact is my geographical location right now.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of my MBA, I was working for a large mining company within WA. And throughout that journey, I was able to make the transition and actually take, the skills, the work that I'd done and in flight in my MBA and actually bring it to the US to work. So for me, looking back, I definitely think the MBA had a pivotal role in me being able to live and, work in the United States. I think it is a very highly regarded degree, and that is on an international stage. So when I look back and lasting long-term impact, I'm able to live and work in effectively what was my dream. And the MBA really unlocked that door for me.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. Parapon, what about you?
So to me, I think probably back to the original answer that I made before. I think the MBA give all the different piece of the jigsaw that you need and you require into the workplace or the real world, and how that impact to me. So obviously that because of that, all those jigsaw, all those tools that you have along with your network and the all the things that you learn there. So it allowed me to move to the various different industry, and now it's going to be engineering, oil and gas, logistic or power, and now it's in mining. But also not only the industry, but also in the various the function of the organization, where it's going to be project management or the sale, business development, or now the look after like the P&L or the international the subsidiary. So that probably would happen. Okay.
Thank you. And Sudhanshu, what about you? Greatest impact?
I would say the transition was the biggest impact. As I said, from technology to kind of becoming a journalist, uh, the degree kind of and especially marketing as well as strategy units played a pivotal role. From that point onwards, I have continued to kind of be into roles which have allowed me to kind of either be on the strategy side or a mix of strategy and marketing, and that is what I have kind of been doing since the MBA days. So that I would say is the biggest impact.
This is a very quick fire answer. Is what was your favorite unit? And why? Was it the tutors? Was it the lecturers? Was it the energy that was created in your classmates? And so, Sudhanshu, sorry, I am going to pass this over to you first. And what was your top two units?
As I said, the strategy management was the pinnacle of
Yeah.
all the units that I had. It summed everything together, right from finance to marketing to everything. The framework which allowed me to package things in a very structured way. That was, I would say, the most favored unit. I also dreaded few units though. So, for example, when it came to accounting or finance, there was a lot of prep, a lot of kind of courage that I need to put together to kind of navigate those. Did it successfully, but yeah, strategy is what I loved.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think sometimes you definitely, different people like different things. So Surna, what about you? What was your?
There are actually three that scream
All
to
right.
me, and I think I
Okay.
still think about regularly. So first and foremost, economics. I
Mhm.
went into like with no experience in economics or having studied it in school or anything. It was a unit that at first felt overwhelming, and then when you get into the macroeconomic side, is one of the most amazing things to understand. Marketing was one of the most fun units I have done that you forget that you're learning real life skills while doing assignments, pretending you're an Apple CEO. Like it's that was absolutely awesome. And organizational behavior is something that has stuck with me, and the frameworks in that unit are absolutely phenomenal. So they're the top three that still ring loud and clear.
Oh, fantastic. And I love the idea of having fun as well. Yeah, while you're studying. Peripon, what about you?
The two units. So I mean, of course, the first one I like the. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while, but they have the unit they call the change management. So I think it's around the change. So which is that one is good because I think even the nowadays probably still day to day you use it. When you implement the change and everything, whether it's going to be organization or the business. So that one and the other unit that to me is. Probably okay, it's a combine between of course, I like the accounting and finance because I mean, coming from the a little bit technical background, I like the number, but at least you know how those number actually work from the business perspective on this is what it mean here, this is what it mean here, and how it works. So I think I really like and enjoy those one.
Oh, well, I think between the three of you, we've almost covered the whole MBA, so we've had a good mix. Then the other question I have for you all is obviously we've got maybe a number of attendees who are thinking about coming to study an MBA but have never done accounting. They've never thought about marketing. They might not know what a P&L is, or they might not know what stuff around leadership or strategic management because they've never had that opportunity. What could you say to them that would encourage them to consider doing the MBA, and what would be the best advice to help them succeed in an MBA program? And Pirapong, will start with you if that's all right.
Yeah, but, I mean, just to recap, the question is basically is around the people who come from the you mean
Non
non-accounting?
non-business backgrounds, yeah. Yeah.
I think first don't be scared, right? And also, I mean, in a part of I know that a number of unit that we enroll, some of the classmates also I mean, not come from the business background, and some of them like come from pure art, and when quite eye-opening for them to go into the accounting and finance. But I think most of the time I mean generally the classmate is pretty good, and then they help you to navigate through, and at the end of the day the unit that the MBA teach you is equipped with some basic skill, and I think you probably heard most of the time that you need to understand to ask the right question and then you will get the right answer. So they not teach you to be a specialist in the accounting, but you have the knowledge of the overall. So don't be scared onto that. And I think the school support you well, and also the classmates support you well on this too. Make
Yeah.
it through.
It's always good to find out where your classmates come from first. So then you think, oh, hopefully they'll be doing that accounting unit with me. That would be my personal one that I wouldn't have a clue of. That's why I keep going back to accountancy. Sudhanshu, what about you? What advice would you give to non-business backgrounds students?
I would simply say that, when you look at the world, it's not unidimensional. So whatever background you are coming from is a particular dimension. Now, what MBA does, it makes it multidimensional. Okay. You transform yourself from whatever you are, a specialist, maybe you become jack of all trades, and you are relevant in every conversation that is happening around. First thing that you will experience, if you are already coming with some experience, you start kind of relating things. Oh, I was doing this, and now that I understand, say, finance, this is what it means. So there is a lot of deja vu moments that you will get in the first half as you unlock the newer subjects which you are not exposed to. But it's fun, and it's going to be great learning. And for people who are considering to do this program, I would say go in with your curiosity. And people who are already there, I would say please participate fully, because as you engage, you get more. And in case you have graduated, I think keep leveraging the network. So this is how I will sum it up.
Thank you. And that's a really good sum up, particularly around using the network. Sarah, what about you? What advice would you have from those non-business backgrounds to help them succeed?
I would firstly sort of pull on that network. So very much like you talked about, Fiona, I am not a numbers gal. So accounting, finance, and those units, they are cornerstone, and you have to do them. But the way that they're taught is also not maybe what I anticipated going in. So in accounting, for example, you are doing real world, like board games, you are doing real world situations where it's not overwhelming. Here's a textbook, go study it. It's sort of broken down into bite-sized pieces where you do pull on prior experience, just like the other panelists said, and you put it into this experience that you're sitting with here and there. I think my biggest advice would be to just like jump right in. And it's sort of that sink or swim mentality, but from a perspective that you have so many other people helping you swim, that there really isn't a way to sink. So the community and the network within UWA is fantastic, but you'll really quickly learn that everyone is there to help you succeed and to help you get over that finish line.
Thank you. And I think you're right. I think everyone is behind you, whether that's your classmates, whether it's your family, or whether it's your or the teachers and lecturers and tutors. Everyone wants you to succeed, and they're very open and helping you to do that. For those on the line who are our newest MBA graduates, do you have any advice for them around how can they take their knowledge into their current organization? And Serna, do you want to maybe just speak about that, being one of our latest graduates?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say with this is say yes, even if the opportunity potentially scares you. So I'm going to use my own personal experience, and it actually comes with change management. So change management is a unit that you have exposure and experience in the MBA. And once I graduated and completed it within the project management role, it is Change Management 101. However, the organization that I was working with wanted a framework and that effectively asked if I could put something together. Now, at the time, obviously, it is a daunting task. You're working real world. But I actually went back, rustled through the old change management notes and books that I had, and you really realize it's transferable. Maybe not, you might not be talking apples for apples, but you're still talking fruits in a basket. So I would just say yes to the opportunities that are provided because you will surprise yourself how much you learned that you are maybe not, exposed to until you really dive in.
Oh, that's an awesome piece of advice. Pirapong, what about you?
So in terms of the new MBA graduate, what practical step? I mean, we'll see that you might hear the number of panelists, including yourself, speak a little bit word that we hear we talk about have to be curious, have to be engaged, and then have to leverage on or get into your network. So I would say that look, of course, another one the spend apart from the engaged and curious, spend of course go to your office. They have the various department, go and talk to them, and then get themselves out there to have chat with them and be curious that okay, you understand the business situation and okay, this is what you learn, and have a chat, have an engage a conversation. So that probably make the people or your colleague will look at you a different perspective as well in those way.
Thank you. And Surahanshu, what about you?
I would say when you are equipped with an MBA, you understand all the construct, you understand all the frameworks, you have the background. Go back and understand the business, whatever industry you are in, wherever your organization operates. Then the moment you understand the business, your ability to contribute back multiplies. And the moment you do that, you become more relevant. And that is what will start paying you back because it's a long-term investment. That is what you do in MBA, and it builds over a period of time. It's not a flip of a coin that you kind of know. You have done MBA and you are unlocking value. It takes time, but it pays off in the long run. So that is what I'll kind of do. Go back, understand business, understand how you can kind of unlock value for your business basis this knowledge that you have accumulated, unleash that knowledge and create value for the organization. That's what I'll suggest.
Thank you. And I think that rounds off the formal questions. So I think I'm just going to just do a quick sum up. So first of all, I really do want to thank Surahanshu, Sura, and Pirapong for their absolute generosity in sharing their personal experiences of UWA's MBA program. I think UWA's motto is to seek wisdom, and I think we've got three exemplary graduates sitting with us this evening or afternoon or morning, wherever you are, and really sharing their experience, but also sharing their experience about what they learned on campus, but how they have continued to use that learning and progress their careers and also continue to learn on a personal basis as well. So I'm sure all the attendees have really appreciated your authentic and open and honest response to the questions. I also want to reflect that each one of you have spoken quite a lot about the speciality of the MBA at UWA, that network that you're provided, the unique energy and partnership between your classmates and your lecturers, which really helps you galvanize your learning, but also helps you contribute to other people's learning as well, which is really something that we hope to always achieve in our MBA. And finally, I think one of the other reflections I have is that it doesn't matter what what degree or background that you have come from, any discipline or any kind of industry, the MBA really gives you that skill set, that toolkit to really future-proof your career in some ways and help you deal with those can help you transition career, can help you move up, move across, move whatever direction, have the confidence to start something completely different or even move to a different country, which I think is a really great example of what our MBA can offer. So once again, I really do want to thank the panelists for their authentic contributions, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time and listening to the webinar. If you have any questions afterwards, because often it's a way that you think, oh, I'd love to find out about this or that, please do not hesitate to contact the alumni engagement team who helped organise this session. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we do hope to see you in one of our MBA classrooms. And then if you're just about to graduate or a recent graduate, we hope to see you at one of our alumni events soon. Thank you, everyone, and good evening.